Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond the Box Score. I'm your host Hayat, and today we're breaking down my 4 favorite NBA matchups on February 11th. We've got Philadelphia 76ers vs New York Knicks, Cavaliers Jared Allen vs Washington Wizards, New Orleans Pelicans vs Miami Heat, and Phoenix Suns vs Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah, it's a loaded slate, and I'm walking every angle. This is pure analysis and opinion, no guarantees, no promises, just me connecting the dots and showing how I see these games shaking out. Quick heads up, if you're excited for this slate, smash that like button and hit subscribe. It literally takes 2 seconds, but it helps the channel keep bringing these full breakdowns every day. Alright, let's dive in and start connecting the dots on these 5 matchups. Philadelphia 76ers vs New York Knicks. The lean here is the New York Knicks. Okay, let me think this through out loud. Philadelphia 76ers are 30-23 on the year, 29-22 against the number this season, and they're coming off that 135-18 loss to Portland to close out their most recent road trip. That's not exactly momentum. On the other side, New York is 34-19, second in the Eastern Conference, and they've won 9 of their last 10. So if this matchup plays out like current form matters, then 34-19 with 9 of their last 10 is trending up, and 30-23 off a 135-18 loss is trying to stabilize. Now, I can't ignore that the road team has won all 3 meetings between the two teams this season. All 3. So home court hasn't exactly dictated anything here. And that matters because Philadelphia in the home favorite role this year has been noted negatively. That's a situational angle I can't brush aside. Now, scheduling-wise, the Knicks are on the second half of a back-to-back, taking on Indiana on Tuesday night. And yes, Knicks not at their best on no rest this season. That's a real thing. But one path I see here is if that Indiana game turns into a blowout either way, maybe key guys get some rest. There's even mention of a possible blowout scenario versus Indiana affecting rest. So if that happens, maybe the legs aren't as taxed as we think. Injury-wise, OG Anunoby is out, Dillon Jones is available, Miles McBride is out, Mitchell Robinson is out. That's significant depth. On the Philadelphia side, Joel Embiid is questionable, Paul George is out, Kelly is available, Quentin Grimes is available, Dominic Barlow is questionable. So I'm sitting here thinking, if Joel Embiid is questionable and Paul George is out, and Philadelphia is already 30-23 with 29-22 against the number, but not dominant in the home favorite role, and the road team has won all 3 meetings. What connects for me is that New York at 34-19, second in the Eastern Conference, having won 9 of their last 10, is playing the better basketball. Even with the second half of a back-to-back, even not at their best on no rest this season, I keep circling back to current form and matchup history. Road team has won all 3 meetings. That trend matters to me. So if this matchup plays out like recent form plus historical head-to-head road success, then New York has the edge. Yeah, that's why the lean sticks at the New York Knicks. Next analysis, we have Cavaliers Jared Allen vs Washington Wizards. The lean here is Jared Allen over 9.5 rebounds. Let me walk through why. If this matchup plays out like it has for the last 3 or 4 years straight, then Washington is going to do what Washington does, and that is be horrible at giving up rebounds to centers. They are the number 1 worst team in the league when it comes to giving up rebounds to centers. They give up the most rebounds in the entire league, and they have been the worst team pretty much all season, especially as of late. So when I see centers getting 13, 14, 15 rebounds against Washington even in limited minutes, that immediately connects for me. Cat had 14 rebounds in 26 minutes. 26 minutes, that's not even a full workload, and he still got 14. So if that's the baseline against this team, I have to look at Jared Allen's recent stretch: 17 rebounds, 11 rebounds, 10 rebounds, 13 rebounds. He has gone over 10 rebounds 4 games in a row. He has been consistent the last week or 2 weeks. Now layer in the injury impact. Evan Mobley is out. Evan Mobley averages about 10 rebounds per game. Mobley played in the earlier matchup. Mobley is not playing in this game. So if Mobley was playing in the earlier matchup and the Cavs won by 30, maybe even 40 points, it was a blowout. Jared Allen played 26 minutes and still had 14 rebounds. Then what happens now with no Mobley? That's what I keep coming back to. The spread is 17.5, so yes, the blowout risk is real. But it was a blowout before, he played 26 minutes, and he still cleared 10 easily. If this matchup plays out similarly, he should only need 3 quarters. And if by some chance he plays all 4 quarters, he could have closer to 15 rebounds. The prop line is over 9.5 rebounds, he needs 10 rebounds, and against a team giving up 13, 14, 15 to centers routinely, that threshold feels low. And if someone is nervous about 17.5 in the blowout script, the Goblin option at 7.5 rebounds is sitting there. But what connects for me is simple. Washington gives up the most rebounds in the entire league to centers, Mobley averages about 10 rebounds per game and is out, and Allen has 17, 11, 10, 13 recently and has gone over 10 rebounds 4 games in a row. Yeah, that's why the lean sticks at Jared Allen over 9.5 rebounds. Quick pause here, if you've got an even one lean you agree with so far, smash the like button. It lets me know these full slate breakdowns are actually helping, and if you want to support the channel, hitting like and subscribe takes 2 seconds but genuinely helps this channel grow. Alright, let's get back into it. New Orleans Pelicans vs Miami Heat, the lean here is the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, let me think this through because this one feels weird, it feels uncomfortable and whenever I say that out loud, I immediately slow myself down. New Orleans Pelicans are 15-40, which on paper is ugly, no way around it, but they're 30-25 against the number, and that tells me they compete more than the raw record suggests. They're coming off a 120-94 win versus Sacramento, and yeah, that was the toilet bowl, but 120-94 is still 120-94. If this matchup plays out like recent energy at home matters, that result connects. Now flip it to Miami Heat, 28-27, 3,123 and 1 against the number, coming off a 115-11-11 loss to Utah. That Utah game bothered me. I expected more there. And now I'm staring at this injury report because this is where it gets messy. Tyler Hero is out with a rib injury. Norman Powell is out with low back tightness. Andrew Wiggins is questionable. Drew Smith is available. Nikola Jovic is available. Jamie Jaquez is available. Jakushinis is available. So it's not like Miami is empty, but you're definitely missing Tyler Hero and Norman Powell, and Wiggins is hanging in that questionable space. On the Pelicans side, DeJounte Murray is out. Micah Peavy is questionable. And beyond that, it's basically the same group they've been running with. What connects for me is that New Orleans has been playing better basketball at home. They're picking up momentum. And there's even mention of tanking, Pelicans not tanking as much as other teams. That matters this time of year. One path I see here is people rushing to grab early line value on Miami because the record says 28-27 versus 15-40, and maybe some of these guys suit up and that number shifts. But if this matchup plays out like effort and home energy matter more than perception, then New Orleans at home becomes live. The line looks funky, and sometimes that's a trap, but sometimes that's the market begging you to take the obvious side. Miami on paper looks like the better team, but without Tyler Hero, without Norman Powell, possibly without Andrew Wiggins, coming off a 115-11-11 loss to Utah, I'm not as confident as I want to be. Meanwhile, 30-25 against the number tells me New Orleans shows up relative to expectations. And that 120-94 win versus Sacramento might not be impressive stylistically, but it's a signal. So if this matchup plays out like the Pelicans continuing that at-home momentum and Miami not fully healthy, I see New Orleans grinding this out. Yeah, that's why the lean sticks at the New Orleans Pelicans. Phoenix Suns vs Oklahoma City Thunder, the lean here is the under around 217.5. Let me walk through this slowly because this is more about feel than flash. Oklahoma City Thunder are 41-13, 2-6-2-7-1 against the number, and they just 119,110 won versus Lakers, covering 6.5 in that game. That's important, covered 6.5. They did it without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is out. A.J. Mitchell is out. Thomas Sorber is in ACL recovery. Nicole Topic is out. Brooks Barnhizer is out. So there's real absence here. Now Phoenix is playing Dallas on the first half of a back-to-back, while Oklahoma City is rested. That scheduling spot matters to me because if this matchup plays out like legs matter late, the rested team usually dictates pace. For Phoenix, Grace Nen is out, Isaiah Livers is out, but Devin Booker is playing. And Booker went 5 for 12 with 21 points in that Dallas game context. So if Booker is in the lineup, Phoenix always has a puncher's chance, no question. But here's what connects for me: Oklahoma City without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander tends to lean into defense. They don't have that same offensive pop, so they grind. Look at what they've done recently. Held Lakers to 110, held Magic to 92, held Denver Nuggets to 111, held New Orleans to 95, held Toronto to 103. Those aren't track meets. Those are controlled, defensive games. So when I see total around 217.5, I don't see it as random. I see it as the market adjusting to Oklahoma City's defensive identity without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. One path I see here is Phoenix trying to speed it up, especially if Devin Booker gets going beyond 5 for 12 with 21 points. But if this matchup plays out like Oklahoma City dictating tempo with defense, leaning on that 41-13 confidence and the rest advantage, then 217.5 starts to look high relative to the game script. Yes, if I had to lean toward a side, I'd lean toward the Suns because when I like an under, I usually want as many points as possible. But the defensive trends, 110, 92, 111, 95, 103, they keep echoing in my head. And the fact they covered 6.5 in a 119,110 win tells me they can win without blowing the doors off offensively. So if this matchup plays out like Oklahoma City slows it down and Phoenix is on a back-to-back rhythm shift, I see more half-court possessions than transition. Yeah, that's why the lean sticks at the under around 217.5. Alright, that wraps it up for all favorite 4 NBA matchups on February 11th. As always, this was analysis and opinion only, nothing guaranteed, nothing promised. Just me working through how these games could play out if the situations line up the way they look on paper. I'm curious how you're seeing these spots. So drop a Z in the comments and let me know which matchup stood out to you, or if you're on the opposite side of one of these. I read every comment. More breakdowns coming soon, same raw format, same deep dives, same real conversation. Appreciate you guys for being here.